Hey everyone. So, as we get into the dog days of summer here, where there's not much going on as far as the NHL is concerned, I figured it's a good time to start doing more of these videos, like Enforcers Hall of Fame and hockey cards and stuff like that to help pass the time. So, we're going to do another Enforcers Hall of Fame today, and this is a pretty sad one. But before we get to this, if you're not yet a subscriber to this channel, please hit the subscribe button. As long as you're a fan of hockey in the NHL, there are videos here for you. Whether you only like a certain team, or if you follow the league as a whole, there are videos here that you'll enjoy. So please hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And now it's time for my next inductee into my Enforcers Hall of Fame. A very sad story here, but for a short time, one of, if not the most feared player in the NHL, Derek Boogaard. Boogaard came into the league with the Minnesota Wild, is best known for his time in Minnesota. He had just signed a 4-year contract with the New York Rangers. He only got not even a full year into that contract, and unfortunately he passed away at the age of 28. It was an accidental overdose on a mixture of alcohol and Oxycontin. Obviously, a very sad story, and something that really hit the hockey world hard when it happened. And as you can see by the stats here, Boogaard didn't play in the NHL for very long. He only played 277 career games. He had 3 goals, 13 assists for 16 points in that time and 589 penalty minutes. He had 61 career fights, all regular season. None were in the playoffs, and I don't count preseason fights on these career numbers, so preseason doesn't count. His best year was arguably his rookie year. His first year in Minnesota, he had 16 fights in 05-06, which was the most he ever had in one season. He also had his best year offensively that year. He had 2 goals, 4 assists for 6 points. He would never have 6 points in a season again. And he had 158 penalty minutes, which is the most he ever got in one season throughout his career. So his rookie season was his best statistically, both fight-wise and offensively. He went on to have 300 penalty minute seasons in the NHL. Like I said, he played with Minnesota from 2005 to 2010, and then for the 10-11 season was his first year with the Rangers. He signed a 4-year deal with them. And he only played 22 games that year. He struggled with injuries, specifically concussions, and eventually that certainly played a role in what happened to him and his passing. And after his brain was examined, it was shown that he had CTE and his brain was heavily damaged. And that obviously played a big role in what ended up happening to him. His best years came with Minnesota. He's best known for his time with Minnesota. His Rangers stint was certainly not what anyone wanted it to be. And between the injuries, the substance issues, and his life was really spiraling downhill by the time he got to New York. It was a very sad situation, and things were not going well. He only played 22 games with the Rangers. He was a healthy scratch a lot. Things weren't going well. Obviously, his concussions and injuries played a role in that. His substance problems played a role in that. And then obviously things culminated in his death in 2011. At only 28 years old, and it's just a really sad story what happened to him and how things ended up. So why am I putting him in the Enforcers Hall of Fame? What did he do to deserve to be in here? Well, if any of you remember him playing, you know why he's in here. No, he didn't have a long career. No, he didn't play a lot of games. He didn't even fight all that much. 16 was the most he ever had in a season. He usually had around 10 fights per year. It's not like he was a 25 fight guy. But Derek Boogaard was without a doubt one of, if not the most feared player in the NHL in his prime. When he came into the league, when he was in Minnesota during this stretch, he was absolutely one of, if not the most feared player in the NHL. They did not call him the Boogeyman for nothing. He could knock anyone out. He broke Todd Fedoruk's face. He knocked out Trevor Gillies. It's even been said that he pushed George Laraque into retirement. Laraque has said that he didn't want to face Derek Boogaard. He was afraid of Derek Boogaard. He didn't want Boogaard to nail him and mess him up the way that he did Todd Fedoruk and the other guys that he knocked out. Fedoruk is the biggest example because he literally shattered Fedoruk's face. But people were very, very afraid of Derek Boogaard, and he was a great enforcer because people were so afraid of him. You did not touch anybody, any star players on any team that Derek Boogaard was on, because you were going to have to face him. And he was 6'7", 260 pounds, and he could knock anyone out. He had rocks for hands. He's certainly someone that nobody wanted to fight. Bad things happened to many of the people that did end up having to fight him, and he was just an absolute beast. And had he played in the league longer, his numbers obviously would all be higher. He certainly would have more fights. Had he not kind of gone through the issues that he did or pass away so young. I really think Derek Boogaard was in the wrong era. He was playing in the wrong era. I would have loved to see Boogaard play in the late 80s and 90s because I think he would have gotten to showcase how great he was as an enforcer even more. One of my dream fights that I wish could have happened would have been a pair of 24s, Derek Boogaard in his prime versus Bob Probert in his prime. And both of those guys passed away very, very young. Probert was 45 when he passed away, and Boogaard was 28. Both big-time enforcers and big-time fighters in hockey, and both had similar issues with substances. But a Boogaard versus Probert fight in 1988 would have been enough. That would have been pay-per-view material. Absolutely would have been pay-per-view material. It would have been better than any boxing match at the time. MMA wasn't even really a thing yet. It would have been incredible to watch, and that is a dream fight that could have never could have happened because they played at different times. But yeah, Boogaard was, I don't know how much longer Boogaard would have lasted in the league past 2011, even it had, he not had concussion issues, had he not had substance issues, and had he not passed away. Because the game was already changing by that point. Players like him were on their way out. Really by 2013, 2014, they were really kind of all out. So I don't know how much longer Boogaard would have played, even had he survived and had he been, in better condition and been, had he been okay. I still, with his style of play and the type of player he was, I don't know how much longer he would have played in the league. But without a doubt, deserving of this spot. And not even just because he passed away. Obviously, that plays a role in it whenever something like that happens. That it does play a role in how they're remembered and how they're really kind of... a spotlight is put on them and they're kind of lifted up a little higher when things like that happen. But even with if he was still alive today and only had this career, he was still, even though it wasn't for a long time, he was so feared, and that it made him one of the greatest enforcers in NHL history. And it's really a shame that his career didn't last longer. But he absolutely is deserving of being in this Hall of Fame because he was one of the best. He was an absolute beast. He didn't have 61 career fights because it was his choice. He would have fought more. Nobody wanted to fight him. And that's as good as it gets as far as being an enforcer. When you have people running away from you, afraid to fight you, you're as good of an enforcer as it gets. So, Derek Boogaard, the latest inductee into my Enforcers Hall of Fame. Tragic story, tragically short career. Could have been a lot more, but this is all he got to enjoy, and I really don't know how much of this he even enjoyed, given the way things ended. Again, a really sad story. Rest in peace to Derek Boogaard, and you are certainly in my Enforcers Hall of Fame. So that's it for today. Like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. Check out offthewallhockey.com. All those links in the description below. Keep this channel growing. Keep spreading the word. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you guys soon, and see you guys later.